Hi, my name is Mihaela, and I'm doing my project on, or my paper on, the extinction of amphibians, which is going on right now. 32% of the world's amphibians are on the endangered list right now, or have gone extinct since we have kept track of all the species that we know of scientifically. And that's a lot. Most of those are frogs, but other types of reptiles include these guys. Those are frogs, salamanders, toads, caecilians, and newts. And amphibians are one of the 5 phylum of the animal kingdom, the other 4 being birds, reptiles, mammals, and fish. And they're kind of in the middle of the animal kingdom, considering their characteristics. They are a lot like reptiles in a lot of ways in their land dwelling characteristics, and the fact that they live on land and they have smoother skin is kind of like a mammal, and they have the aquatic characteristics of fish, of course. However, this is because they are the oldest type of species that has ever lived on land, because before there was any other life form, there were fish in the ocean, and then the dinosaur fish came out, and they started to live on land by first living in the water and the land, being the first amphibians, and then came the reptiles and the big dinosaurs and everything. But those amphibians are kind of similar to what we have today still, kind of like alligators are similar to old dinosaurs. So some of their living conditions that they use are more susceptible to our changing environment than other animals might be. One of them is being the way that they live in the water and the air. They are susceptible to air pollution and water pollution. And also the way that they breathe through their skin. They are susceptible to everything they breathe in to get their skin sick outside externally and get their inside sick internally. Some of the characteristics of amphibians are that they have smooth skin, which is covered kind of like by a slimy sort of mucus stuff, kind of like our noses have mucus to keep the dirt out from breathing in the wrong stuff. It's kind of like that for them because they breathe through their skin, so it keeps them from breathing in the wrong stuff. And then they also go through a life cycle that starts out as just an aquatic being and go through a metamorphosis that turns them into an amphibious being. And for a frog that looks like this, they go from an egg to a tadpole with 2 legs, a tadpole with 4 legs, a froglet, and an adult frog. One of the factors contributing to the extinction of the amphibians is the atmospheric change of the worldwide, because we have so much pollution going on right now. A lot of that is being let into the air, and it's destroying our atmosphere and the ozone layer, which is the first layer of our atmosphere above all our main oxygen and junk that we breathe, protects us from direct solar radiation and direct sun rays. So it also keeps the earth on the inside of that layer a certain temperature around the world, and the thinner that ozone layer gets, the hotter the earth is going to get. and the more UV radiation that is going to be let in. Frogs and tadpoles and caecilians and all those lovely amphibians are extremely susceptible to temperature changes in the water and the air, and they're susceptible to UV radiation because their skin is way more sensitive than any other being's skin because they don't have scales, they don't have feathers, they don't have hair to cover it up. It's just the soft skin, kind of like humans do, but we have hair. Also, other contaminants like chemical contaminants are contributing to the extinction of frogs. It can cause different malformations in the frogs. The different pesticides can cause frogs to get sick and die, like if they spray a bunch of insects to get rid of the insects over crops, and then the insects hop away and the frogs eat the insects, the frogs can get sick from eating that insect. Or if they spray the crops and it rains and that pesticide washes away off the crops and down into a marsh, then the frogs can get sick from breathing that in or drinking it. Some of the malformations that looks like is like this. So usually it results in the wrong number of legs or eyes, and sometimes it results in male frogs becoming female frogs or becoming impotent, which also decreases the population of frogs. The change in the atmosphere also changes this is the temperature of the world right now, the average temperatures, and that is the total annual rainfall per place. And you can notice how some of the places that are hotter aren't getting as much rainfall, and those areas that aren't desert, that aren't getting as much rainfall, are suffering because of the animals that live there needing more water and other things like that due to climate change, like water being hotter than it's supposed to be and sea levels rising because glaciers are melting. So frogs are having to move inland where there's not the right kind of soil or not the kind of food that they need, or maybe it's too close to human activity because the water's risen. A large portion of the world's amphibians have been lost to loss of habitat. Sometimes it's pure destruction of habitat to build new things. Sometimes it's destruction of habitat because the habitat is no longer inhabitable because of pollution or construction of something nearby, or because it's too populated by something else like an invasive species like crawdads, black carp, zebra mussels. They're all invasive species. Or sometimes if a road is built through a marshy area or an area with a pond or a creek going through it, then frogs may try to hop across the road, especially on rainy nights, to get to other sources of water, and a lot of the times they get run over because it's a lot easier to see and avoid a possum than it is a little bitty frog. And there's also disease that impacts frogs. One of the most crucial problems right now in frogs that isn't human caused right now is called crictid diseases, and there's one called BD. I'm going to try to pronounce it. It's Bactricrotium dendrobatitis. Yep. Basically, what it does is it infects the frog's skin and makes him kind of swell up and not be able to eat. It's a bacteria algae that grows in the water of ponds and creeks and such, and when the frogs get it on their skin or they breathe it in, it gets them really sick and it kills them very quickly, and it wipes out large populations of fish and frogs, especially frogs. And a lot of scientists and biologists are working tirelessly to find a cure for this, but it's really hard and there hasn't been much luck so far, and we're losing a lot of creatures to it. Also, with the changes of habitat regularity, the amphibians are all more susceptible to normal diseases that were already there, because their immunity is lower and their reproduction rates are disturbed, so their population numbers are lower, and they so overall population is decreasing for so many reasons, and if we lose the amphibians, we lose an essential chunk of our food chain in the world. We lose an essential chunk of the world's creatures. So it's important to remember to recycle and remember to not pollute and to remember to know what you're putting into your water system, and to, when you do visit places, if they look like this, then maybe try to pick up a few things while you're there. If they look more like this, then you're in the right place. So, thank you for watching my presentation, and maybe save a frog. Thanks.